Good evening and welcome to your Thursday edition of FSU Weather, where we have a gorgeous sunset setting up. Those lights are really going to reflect off of the clouds we have in the sky right now. It is partly cloudy in the sky. That's going to help enhance that sunset, but temperatures are very warm this evening for this time of year in late February, 78 degrees, little bit of a southerly wind, and that's going to make the conditions across the area very clear right now. There's not much going on in our neck of the woods because of a stationary front, but tonight temperatures are going to radiationally cool down to 59 degrees. There's still going to be a little bit of clouds in the sky, but your wind should drop to calm, and then tomorrow we should heat back up into the upper 70s, low 80s. Gorgeous day to be out on Landis Green behind me, a little bit of a northerly wind. That's not going to affect us too much, but we do have a hot week that we just passed. So it's been sort of the first week of spring so far, but we're going to get another cold front potentially in the next week or so to drop things back down again. That lingers the question of how long will this cool weather last for? And we're going to get to all of this tonight on FSU Weather.
That's right. It's been a beautiful day here across the Big Bend of Florida. Look at that sunset behind the stadium right there. That dot right there is the sun. It's kind of occluded with those clouds, of course, but we'll make way for a beautiful sunset here coming up behind FSU's Doak Campbell Stadium. So currently it is 78 degrees under partly cloudy skies. So pretty good day right now to go outside and enjoy the outdoors, perhaps go on a walk after dinner. Really nice conditions outside right now. Currently around Tallahassee, not much in the way of cloud cover or showers. Of course, we do have high pressure pretty much dominating across the entire southeastern United States. That's what's responsible for that clearness in the sky. But our weather maker for the southeast, of course, is over here. But this will not get into our area, and it looks like maybe the system afterwards is what might bring us some severe weather, or some, I shouldn't say severe weather, but weather afterwards this weekend. So our water vapor does show we're kind of in that middle area between the drier air down towards South Florida and the more humid weather across the northern portions of the southeastern United States. So clouds, again, intermittent clouds today, and especially in the upper levels where there is a little bit more moisture, but overall, at least in the surface, it's been pretty dry. And our dew points are in the 60s. So yeah, it is pretty muggy outside, but of course, it's not as muggy as we would see in the summertime, but of course, it's not leading to any rain or anything like that. Current temperatures right now are in the 70s, so pretty warm for this time of year. So we are at 76 down in Perry, but a little bit cooler down towards Appalachia at 69 degrees, and then a little bit warmer as you make your way inland towards places like Quincy at 77, and then Bainbridge at 78 degrees. Our heat index does show a couple degrees warmer than what it actually is, the ambient temperatures outside, with 80 degrees in Tallahassee and up in the upper 70s as you make our way into southwest Georgia. And that's all due to the southwesterly wind coming in from the Gulf. And that's what's affecting that warmer temperatures coming in, and of course the moisture as we see those warmer temperatures coming in from the Gulf of Mexico and allowing for that warmer conditions. And our future radar does show not really much in the way of cloud cover. Might see a little bit of fog tomorrow afternoon, but it doesn't look like it should be as intense as it was this morning. And for the week ahead, we'll see those temperatures going up a little bit until we get down into the 70s. So honestly, I'm looking forward to that, a little bit of a cool down on Tuesday. What do you think about that, Priscilla?
Yes, thank you, Aaron. Yeah, it's very warm all throughout Florida. We see these sunny temperatures just keep going. And right now, there we go. We've got our look at Florida. Again, the whole state is just absolutely red. It is just warm. We can see this was kind of like our first week of spring, kind of summery. I like to be cold, so this felt very summery for me. Whole state of Florida, up mid-70s, a little bit of low 80s over in Fort Myers and over in Gainesville. So we just see that sunshine permeate through the whole state of Florida. Looking at our dew points, very close to our temperatures. So, you know, we've got that a little bit like dry air, but keeping temperatures relatively comfortable. We see our dew point is 68 over in Key West, and then we've got a dew point of 61 over in Tallahassee. And looking at our satellite and radar for southern Florida, we see not too many storms, but that's going to be very great conditions, great for getting outside. No, not too many clouds either, so just clear days looking beautiful. Moving to Central Florida, we see again great conditions, maybe a sprinkle of a shower over here around the I-95 corridor. Moving up to North Florida, again, great conditions throughout the whole state. Not a lot of clouds, not a lot of rain, looking fabulous, really. Then over in the Big Bend region, a little bit of cloud coverage over in the Tallahassee area, and then maybe some slight scattered showers over in Pace. And then now looking at Miami, we see low 80s going into the weekend with very low chances of rain. Just sunny, 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 beautiful conditions, great day. If you're in Miami, maybe head out to the beach in February. And then looking over at Tampa, we see mid to upper 80s. We see 87 on Saturday. And then again, very low chances of rain, under 10%, straight sun all the way. And then looking at Orlando, we see again upper 80s, very warm over in Orlando, and then again very light chances of rain. And then looking at Jacksonville again, mid 80s, upper 70s, low chances of rain, very sunny. And then looking over at Pensacola, low 70s. So over here we've got a chance of rain on Friday at 43%, so that's going to bring those temperatures down. And looking at our future radar, we see the whole state of Florida is looking pretty dry, but then over here in the Gulf of Mexico is where we see some systems and some cloud coverage. And then looking at tonight's forecast, we see very cool temperatures, nice in comparison to those 70s, 80s. So we've got 56 degrees over here in Tallahassee, and then mid-50s, mid-60s as well as you go south through the state. And then all the way down, Miami's got a temperature of 70 degrees. And then looking at tomorrow's forecast, we see 70 degrees over here in Pensacola, and just mid-70s, mid-80s. It's going to be warm tomorrow. What do we think about that? Now we've got Jonathan with the lifestyle.
Yeah, so zooming back on into Tallahassee, we're going to take a look at our area cameras across. Oh, wow, I am the headless horseman. We're going to wait on the camera to fix it. I'm going to keep talking, but we do have a gorgeous sunset setting up across North Florida. Okay, I'm going to take this. Hopefully that worked. Camera 1, enter. I don't know if the camera wants to adjust, so pardon our time. There we go. I am no longer headless, and we're going to keep on going with our Thursday nightlife forecast. 60 degrees with some fog rolling into the midnight hours. We're going to see our temperatures and dew points approach each other as we head into Tallahassee. And as a result, unfortunately, I did have to downgrade your stargazing forecast from good to fair conditions because that fog may roll in. It's going to be pretty clear in the upper levels of the atmosphere, but as you get closer to the surface, you can't really see that much if it's foggy and your glasses are all moist. But as we head into your weekend, temperatures should warm up into the 80s. It's going to be perfect weather to get out onto the FSU lakefront property, get out on the sailboats, get out on the rowboats. It's going to be perfect weather to get your exercise in, and that's going to continue into Sunday with a temperature of 78 degrees. As you head later into the day on Sunday, we might get a chance of some pop-up thunderstorms, maybe some showers, but that's not going to put too much of a damper on your evening and your afternoon out at the res. For your FSU basketball, we aren't going to be home this weekend, so unfortunately I cannot forecast for the Tuck, but I can forecast a win. I think we're going to beat Virginia. 47 degrees, 4 p.m. Saturday at the Cavaliers' hometown in Charlottesville. Wind's going to be calm, but hopefully we're making the buckets and the air is going to move from that. As we head into next week, we are going to finally have a home game after a stretch on the road. We're going to play Notre Dame in the Tuck, 68 degrees. Should be perfect weather to walk over from any of the parking garages on campus, just so everyone doesn't park in St. Augustine and it's a traffic nightmare when that happens. But we are finally in baseball softball season. I know our softball team is off to a hot start, baseball team as well, but for baseball at Dick Hauser Stadium, 6 p.m. on Friday, 64 degrees. Temperatures are going to drop as we head throughout that game, and that is also going to be the pattern as our baseball team travels into Macon, Georgia next week to play Mercer. 60 degrees when at first pitch at 6 p.m. on Tuesday. Those temperatures are going to continue to drop as we go throughout the weekend. But taking a look at your weekend planner here in Tallahassee, those temperatures are going to be very, very warm for this time of year. And that is going to mean that it is perfect to get out and do a lot of activities. But for more of a bit of a unique national look, here is Aaron.
That's right, Jonathan. And we'll have a fun segment here tonight. We'll have our Big City, Small Town segment here on the Thursday edition of FSU Weather. And for tonight's city, we have Austin, Texas. Of course, very beautiful city over there in south central Texas. Current temperatures are in the 30s though, so if you're not a big fan of the cool weather, maybe not the greatest time to be over there, but if you do like the cooler weather, then here you are. We're in the 35 in Austin, up into 34 in Waco, and then down towards San Antonio, we are at the warmest spot at 41 degrees under cloudy skies. So maybe not the most picturesque day, but at least hopefully it'll get there pretty soon. And on satellite and radar, it doesn't show much in terms of rain, but looks like clouds will begin to move out of the area. And for the 3-day forecast for Austin, doesn't look like it'll be that great, especially as we get into Friday and Saturday with those rains. So make sure you do have those umbrellas in handy as you go out the door on Saturday. But we actually may be pretty cold too, with overnight lows in the 30s and even into upper 30s as well as we get into Saturday and Sunday. But Sunday afternoon, we'll get into the upper 50s, so 58 degrees. So definitely much of a warm-up compared to 43 and 42 with rain and clouds over the weekend. And have you ever heard of Austin, Nevada? It is a place in Nevada, of course, but it shares, the only thing it does share is the name, of course, for Austin, Texas. But, of course, it's probably the only similarity there is there because it is 6,000 feet above sea level in the mountains of Nevada. It's in the Rocky Mountains there. And the total area is 1.1 square miles, so pretty small town if you do make your way up there, and only a population of 192 people. So certainly everybody knows each other over there. And as we make our way over towards Nevada, it is in this area where we'll see, Austin, Nevada. But right now, currently, temperatures are in the 30s and 20s across the area. But that's pretty typical for this time of year up in that area. And for our satellite radar, we do see those clouds and some snow showers making their way just off towards the south. Places like Austin looks like might see perhaps an isolated snow shower or two. And then over towards Eureka as well, maybe another snow shower as well. And for our future radar, it does show those snow showers making their way further off to the south. Might see a little bit of clearing until maybe some more clouds might return back to the picture until maybe even further clearing comes up on Friday. So again, if you're tonight in Austin, it's going to be 0 degrees. So definitely much of a change here in Florida and even from Austin, Texas as well. But yeah, cold is a good way to summarize that. And for our 3-day forecast here for Austin, Nevada, we'll see those temperatures in the 20s and 30s across daytime highs there. And nighttime lows will stay pretty frigid. Again, 0 and -1 degrees. That's brutally cold, especially for someone who's from Florida. I wouldn't picture me being over there, but certainly if you are over there, make sure you do have your jacket if you're heading out the door for Saturday into Sunday, really, because temperatures are going to be in the single digits across much of the time there. But now I'll hand things over back to the desk with Jonathan.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we keep talking about it being spring, and everyone is like, oh, spring, yes, that means I can go out to the pool. Well, when you wake up in the morning, you might be going out to your car, and it might be covered in sort of a sticky, powdery yellow thing. Unfortunately, with spring, it is pollen season, and that means that we have quite a bit to talk about. So, with pollen, your car is going to be, it's going to be spring, so you're going to want to go get your car washed, and with that pollen, that means you're going to go back and put it outside in your parking spot outside of your house or your apartment, and then you're going to come out the next morning and you're going to grunt and grumble because it'll be covered in that yellow powder all over again. So unfortunately, it is not the best car wash weather, and because we're not getting a cold front anytime soon, that pollen's just going to stick around for the next few weeks. But going on to more of a data-wise breakdown of the pollen right now that we are getting is not necessarily your flower pollen. It is more of your trees. As our trees start to turn green again, they are going to be producing that pollen. And as we have that winds that's going to change in direction throughout the day, there really is no way to avoid it. As temperatures get hot, you might want to park your car under a tree. That's just going to result in your car getting more dirty. So it's a sacrifice that you're going to have to make, whether or not you want to have a dirtier car or to be a little bit of a hotter car. However, with pollen does come allergies, so unfortunately, with the lack of the cold front coming to kill any pollen, if the cold front comes, it's going to be a little bit marginal, not necessarily going to get cold enough to kill off any plant life. You're going to keep needing these. I'm going to wave the white flag, surrender to the pollen as we head further and further into spring, and pass things back over to the wall with Priscilla.
Thank you, Jonathan. And that is so true. The pollen is just really attacking me this past week. Right now we've got that beautiful, absolutely gorgeous view over Doak Campbell Stadium. Those clouds are really just amplifying that sunset. Right now it's a cool, actually a little warmer, 78 degrees, partly cloudy, with some winds coming from the south-southwest at 6 miles per hour. Looking at our satellite and radar for the Big Bend region, we see great conditions. Some slight cloud coverage over in the Gulf of Mexico, a little bit maybe over Tallahassee, reaching towards Panama City, maybe some slight scattered showers over towards the, really towards the end of the Panhandle, but nothing too crazy, great conditions. Looking at our upper level water vapor, we see in the Florida region, very dry, looking great, and those keeping our temperatures pretty comfortable. Looking at our dew points again, not too much moisture in the air. They're really close to our temperatures. So we've got a 63 dew point in Perry. We've got 61 here in Tallahassee, and then it's a bit higher at 64 over in Apalachicola. And then looking at our temperatures for the region, we see upper 70s, maybe a little cooler in Apalachicola at 69. Very just warm. As you can see, the map is completely red. Looking at our future radar, we see no showers, but we see that cloud coverage coming going into Friday morning and staying there pretty much throughout the rest of the day, but our clouds are going to go away as we go into the night. Looking at our dog walk forecast, we see very, very comfortable, but it's going to warm up really fast, so 57 at 7 a.m. And then looking at our week ahead, great temperatures, great lows, keeping it cool, and then our highs, it's going to be a very warm weekend, and then it'll cool down throughout the rest of the week. And now I'm going to pass things over to Jonathan with the National.
Hold on, I'm getting my camera fixed, and there we go. Heading over to the National, first thing you'll notice is that there is a very, very defined warm sector in the southeastern United States, and this has sort of been there for the past few days. That's going to be the result of a stationary front that we'll see pop up in a second, but when you notice the warm sector is where the moist sector is as well. The rest of the country is very dry, but in this little bit of a transition zone, we're going to get into some messy weather. That's what's going to pop up as this pink color on our satellite and radar. That's going to be where there's mixed precipitation. It's not necessarily cold enough for there to be straight snow, as we're seeing up in Minneapolis, Chicago, and Indianapolis, but along your Memphis up to St. Louis, up to southern, like where Louisville type is, that is where you're going to have more of an ice situation where it's not going to be good weather. But that's a result of this really, really messy, it looks like someone decided to throw a bunch of Lego pieces on the screen. That is actually a type of front we have called a stationary front. That's when this front sort of loses its energy enough to push on by, or in the case of the eastern U.S. right here, we have something called cold air damming happening, which is where cold air gets pushed south and is trapped on the Appalachian Mountains and cannot get over, which is why we sort of have this funky pattern going on across the eastern part of the country. This is reflected in the upper level water vapor. You can sort of see some of the turning happening that's producing that snow near Minneapolis down into Chicago, but the reason why that we're not going to have as significant of a winter storm event is because we do have some dry air intruding, which is going to prevent a lot of accumulation in the southern part of our country. As we zoom into the northeast, not much happening now, but as we head into our active alerts, notice we have winter weather advisories, an ice storm warning, and even a winter storm warning set up, which means that as this system that is currently stationary decides to skedaddle on to the east, that is when we are going to start to see a more poignant impacts in the northeastern United States. This is where that upper level low is right now that's going to really give the gusto into the system as it heads to the northeast, but producing some decent snow over the middle of Iowa right now up towards Green Bay, but this is typical for this time of year there, so notice they're not going to have much of the blizzard warnings or the winter storm warnings, just a winter weather advisory for them. This is going to be a freeze warning up in Bismarck. It is very cold, probably approaching the negatives as we head there. But as you head into the desert Southwest, this is what we expect this time of year for the desert Southwest. It's not raining much, but however, not much active alerts going on, which is a good thing because when we start to see these prolonged periods of dry weather in the Southwest, we can start to see some fire weather happen, but luckily, active alerts are going to be clear there right now. This is that messy area of ice I was talking about, stretching from Little Rock up to St. Louis, up to Indianapolis. Not much going on out to the east of that. Thankfully, the severe weather dynamics behind the system are not enough for where this warm sector is across Birmingham, Huntsville, Jackson, Mississippi. Maybe a few showers, but not anything significant enough. However, they have just been dumped with rain over the past few days. These are all flood warnings set up and flood watches set up. Notice pretty much every small creek or river in the region is flooding its banks. Storm outlook, I mentioned before, there's not much of a dynamic setup for severe weather, which is why we just have a general thunderstorm threat. Notice we could see some thunder sleet. I know our friends at the University of Oklahoma were popping all over Twitter because they were so excited that they got thunder while it was sleeting. But as we head into tomorrow and the next day, not much of a severe thunderstorm risk at all. So we'll have to watch these outlooks as we head further into spring for them to heat up, as we get more of these cold fronts sweeping towards this warm sector that's going to persist across the southeast. Speaking of warm sector, tomorrow we're stuck in it here in Tallahassee, 81 degrees. We're going to zoom back into the southeast, and Aaron is going to take a look at that.
That's right. It certainly makes you glad we live in Florida, right, with those warmer temperatures instead of having to deal with the sleet and the snow all the time. But currently over much of the southeast, we see it is a nice 82 degrees right now in Gainesville, Florida, with those pinks and blues, of course, with the sunset now commencing. And over towards Blacksburg, Virginia, it looks like they have a little bit of rain on their lens right there, a little raindrop up to the top part. But under cloudy skies and 35 degrees, so not really a great time to be outside over there in Blacksburg, Virginia. And down towards Atlanta, it is a really nice and clear 74 degrees, so there it's a very pleasant evening over there. And for Bowling Green, Kentucky, it is also raining over there with 41 degrees, but they've been dealing with the rain for the past few days or so, as Jonathan mentioned in the last segment. And temperatures across much of the southeast, I mean, if you're playing Find the Cold Front, it is right here between Shreveport and Jackson, right there, with 41 in Shreveport and 75 in Jackson, and then up to freezing, or down to freezing, I should say, in Little Rock. But of course, where we're at, we are in the 70s and 80s across much of Florida, all the way up into Georgia as well. We do have a little of that cold air damming across the places like North Carolina, which is allowing for some cooler weather over there. And then we do have those 70s again and 80s pursuing all the way down to the southern end of the peninsula. Our dew points across the southeast are pretty muggy along the cold front, or just ahead of the cold front, with those winds coming in from the south. That's what's allowing these dew points to soar into the 60s out ahead of it. So this is pretty muggy air out there, especially for this time of year. It's not quite summertime, but certainly still very muggy out there. And we do have the drier airs, or the dry the conditions are up. Up towards Little Rock at 28. So there it's feel a little bit more drier in the atmosphere. And there's a cold front right there in Memphis, extending all the way up into Kentucky. And that water vapor does show those more organized showers and thunderstorms are up near Kentucky and Indiana, bringing in some precipitation over in that direction. Our future radar does show our cold front sliding ever so slightly further off to the east, and looks like it dies out pretty much by the time it gets to our area. And looks like out ahead of it, over towards the west, we might see another system actually forming from Texas, moving all the way up into Memphis. Might even bring some more wintry precipitation up towards the northern Ozarks. And as for the Euro rainfall, we might see some rain across much of the southeast. Not much in our area, except maybe to get into maybe the early part of next week, where we do have the next chance for some cooler weather along another cold front. Might see another inch or so possible in our area, and then, of course, further up to the north, might see even more as well. Our storm outlook across the southeast shows not much in the way of convective activity, but temperatures are going to be in the 80s across Florida, so that's pretty warm.
Yeah, so as we zoom back into the Tallahassee area, notice, ooh, we have those bright pinks are popping out in the sky. You have a few minutes left to get outside and get a picture of that sunset. Go ahead and send it to us on Instagram at FSU Weather. They'll get that covered for you on the desk later on. But wow, this is a new graphic. I've actually never seen this before. As we go hour by hour, I need a producer to tell me if this is today or tomorrow. But as we go by hour, notice we will eventually break into the 80s, possibly approaching 81, which is perfect for this time of year. That's about, wow, okay, so we almost broke our record high today. The record high was set way back in 1944 in World War II, where we were approaching 84. Today we approached 82, which means we were only 2 degrees off from our record high, but thankfully we are 30 degrees off of our record low. I personally do not like it when it drops below 32 degrees. When it gets into the 20s, we start having issues with pipes here in Tallahassee. Looking across the region, though, no issues with pipes to be seen in sight, as the Only freezing temperatures are just to the west of Memphis, and that cold front, as Aaron pointed out, is going to die as it approaches Tallahassee. Very clear on satellite and radar, maybe some upper level clouds that are sort of the translucent thing you see going on, fading as we go throughout the day, and then reflected in our upper level water vapor. This kind of just looks like a blank black map. That's because we don't have anything particularly potent happening in our region right now. However, one interesting thing you can see on the temperature gradient is this yellow color down by the coast. Notice Apalachicola down here is the only city where we are in the 60s, and that is because this is the first time we're saying this on the show this year. The sea breeze effect is happening, and that means areas down by the coast are going to be a little bit cooler. Reflected in the dew points, very moderately muggy conditions across the area tonight. Dew point and temperature aren't close enough yet to produce fog, but as we head into tomorrow, we're going to see that happen. And that's going to be because of this southerly wind advecting more moisture into the area, which is going to pump the dew point. Notice as we head into your morning hours, this sort of gray color is going to overtake the area. And then as we head further into the day tomorrow, the fog will burn off and some clouds will roll in. As we look at our day planner, notice 9 a.m. cloudy. That's going to be a mixture of lower level clouds in the form of fog and upper level clouds that will produce a stratus deck. But that cloud deck should clear as we head out through the day, and temperatures are going to warm up into the 80s. As we head into next week, conditions look gorgeous. Maybe a rain chance on Monday, and the Euro is definitely showing that. But to wrap up the show, here we have Priscilla and Aaron on the desk.
Thanks, Jonathan. Really, across much of the nation, it's been a tale of two worlds. I mean, we've had warm conditions here across much of the southeast, and for much of the nation's also been pretty cold.
Yes, exactly. And like especially here in Florida, those warm conditions really bringing that pollen out, and it's definitely disturbing me a little bit. Have you had any issues with the pollen?
Not recently, no, but I'm sure it's coming more. It's coming, of course, over the next few weeks or so as we make our way into springtime, of course, and it comes with a lot of the warmer temperatures coming up. As you can see on our week ahead, the temperatures are going to be in the 80s and 70s. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm really pushing for those lows. I love those temperatures, especially when we've got those higher or mid-level highs. It's really nice to see those cooler lows to keep us a little balanced.
Certainly, and especially since it's been pretty warm across our area for the past probably week and a half or so, certainly a little bit of a cool down, especially at nighttime, might not be such a bad thing, right? So 49 degrees looks like for the low on Monday night and Tuesday morning. So Tuesday might actually feel pretty pleasant outside into 70 degrees. So, but of course, you might need a light jacket as you go out the door, of course, at 49 degrees, but really much of the week you might need a little light jacket as well.
Yeah, and especially a little different this weekend. It's going to be a little warmer. You got any weekend plans for that warm weather?
Honestly, not really, but I guess maybe I'll take a walk outside. It's certainly very pleasant outside. And of course, beware of the pollen, as we mentioned earlier, because that might start accumulating on cars, of course, soon. And of course, it might affect allergies. I mean, I don't have allergies, but...
Make sure to follow us on Twitter at FSU Weather.
And don't forget to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/FSU Weather.
And make sure to watch us live on YouTube at 6 p.m. every weekday at FSU Weather.
And do not forget to follow us on Instagram at FSU Weather. Send us some pictures as well if you want us to send or see your furry friend on there. But that's all we have more for tonight. I'm student meteorologist Aaron Saray.
And I'm student meteorologist Priscilla Vijalta.
Have a great night.